This is
showroom office?
Satellite office.
Satellite office.
I mean,
Okay.
if I can ever use this to work out of.
I know, right? This is gorgeous.
And plus, it'd be really efficient because our executive director for Hope for the Day lives right in that building right
that
there.
we can see? Wait, really?
Yeah, literally, he's on the 18th floor.
Oh my gosh.
I just talked to him, and
Like,
yeah.
hey.
He's like, we're going to a meeting. I was like, yeah, all right, buddy.
That would actually be bad. Then they could just like watch you all day, every day.
Well, actually, from his view, he has a wild view of the Dana Hotel. Which
Oh, really? Ooh, that is wild.
glass windows. Anyways, yes, we're in this lovely office.
So we're here in this beautiful office. Thank you for having us,
Yes.
Kayhan. And you guys, thanks for coming. This is so exciting. So if you can start by just kind of introducing yourselves, like if you could each introduce yourself and kind of give like a snippet of your story, that'd be awesome. And then we'll kind of work into like how we got connected and Hayworth and all that.
No, absolutely. So my name is Jonny Boucher, just like the water boy, Bobby Boucher, made famous by Adam Sandler. I am the founder and CEO of Hope for the Day. We are a proactive suicide prevention and mental education charity based here in Chicago with currently a footprint in 28 countries.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
It's amazing what you do when you stretch your dollar
Yeah.
and you ask people to be a part of the conversation with you, especially around mental health.
Yeah.
And for us, our goal at the organization is to break the silence around mental health, raise the visibility of resources locally, nationally, internationally, and build better bridges to those resources by letting people know that you talk about mental health, that it's okay not to be okay, and that the more we talk about it, the more we realize that, you know, we're not messed up human beings, we're
Right.
human beings going through a thing called life, and the more that we talk about it, the more that we realize that we're not alone.
Okay, cool. I love that. And where are you from? Where are you
So
living now?
I was born in Peoria,
Okay.
and I now reside in the lovely city of Chicago, in the Ukrainian village.
Ukrainian. Okay, I was gonna ask you what neighborhood.
Yes,
Cool.
and
Okay.
my apartment kind of looks like this office, but the one thing that we will say about my apartment is we have 47 plants.
You do. 47.
Yeah,
Oh
our
my
Wi-Fi
God, I
network
love
is the
that.
jungle.
Oh, which
And
is
if you-
accurate.
Yeah, if you're a Guns N' Roses fan, you can figure out the password. But yeah, we have our office here in Chicago. We have our coffee shop in Chicago in the Logan Square neighborhood. It's called City of
Okay.
Hope. It's the world's first coffee shop where 100% of the proceeds support suicide prevention.
Really? Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's our social enterprise model, just like you know, a Goodwill thrift store.
Yeah.
You know, where we pay. Everyone's like, "How do you have overhead?" And I'm like, "Well, we pay people." You know,
Yeah,
it's just like anything.
yeah.
But I often talk about how not only we're fighting for mental health, but I'm also fighting for charity and reinventing how people approach charity, how charities approach individuals. But how do you really bring tangible experiences to your donors, to your supporters, and the people you serve?
Yeah.
And what better way to do it with coffee?
I love it.
To start the conversation.
All the essentials.
Right.
That's so important.
Absolutely.
Okay, now you have some really sweet tattoos. What's your favorite tattoo that you have?
I don't have
This is my main question. You can't pick a favorite?
I don't have my favorite because there's
Okay.
a lot that are not exposed unless I took my shirt off. For the sake
We
of
are
the camera,
recording.
last thing I need is to be on Musk. So, but my hands are some of my favorite tattoos.
Okay.
Well, obviously, have hope is on my knuckles.
So cool.
But the two tops are really for me, and all my tattoos are really for me.
Okay.
I don't have any quote unquote dumb tattoos. I don't have any joke tattoos. Even the that's tight tattoo.
Yeah,
that means a lot. That means a lot to me.
That's pretty good.
But on the top of my hands, it says you get what you give, and then on the other one, see something, say something.
Cool.
And so see something, say something really resonates with everything that I've always fought for. I was a punk rock, concert promoter, and I worked in the music industry, and I felt that communication was key, especially for building bigger picture stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that same mentality came when I lost my boss, Mike, who I worked for, Mike Scanlon. He took his life in 2010, and I realized people were seeing stuff in his life, but no one was saying anything.
Okay.
He had his own vices. He was my Robert Williams. I thought he had everything.
Got it.
Didn't
Yeah.
have much. So opened my eyes. Mike was on a list of. He was number 9 on a list of 16 people that I personally lost to suicide. So when I look at my see something, say something tattoo, it reminds me, hey, like on the days that it's really hard to run this organization, keep going.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I'm at a place where I'm experiencing any mental illnesses or anything like that or any complications right in my life. But I was diagnosed with PTSD, which
You were.
no one told me in Nonprofits for Dummies. Like, hey, if you take on some of the world's problems,
Yeah,
you know,
it's gonna come onto you.
yeah, absolutely. And
totally.
I've also experienced, some Chicago gun violence,
Okay.
which, as, funny as it is, I was like, I think I should probably talk to somebody, and it's get back to what you preach, right?
Yeah.
But for me, say something is so important for people to, if they have the opportunity to speak up.
Yeah.
But also, it's how I started the organization. The more I talk about it, the more people want to talk about it, and that's how I've gotten to meet people all around the world who are like, yo, I've been impacted, I've lost, I've experienced, and I want to do something more with that instead of just living with stigma and the guilt of either being a victim of possibly sexual assault and thinking that that's your life, and then you end up harming yourself. There's so many things and so many external factors that play into mental health.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, however you can talk about it.
Yeah.
And
Okay, cool.
yeah.
And what's that one?
You give me a gift.
Yeah, what do you get?
Yeah. I started this organization out of nothing, and after the Obama tweet, it was like, dude, you've made it. No, we haven't made anything. But
We actually saw that. I think Jessica pulled that. Yeah, that's super fun.
It is, but it's the opportunity.
And he tweeted Obama tweeted
That
just
I was,
retweeted you.
and he said I was one of 5 individuals that inspired him.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, I was on a digital detox too. My entire
Dang it!
It was
Of course
great.
you were.
It was great. I was a little diner, and all of a sudden this phone starts ringing. I'm like, what is
You're
this?
like,
And I was
okay.
like, dude, go on Twitter. And I was like, no, dang it, I don't want to.
Oh
All
my
right,
gosh.
that's great.
Yeah,
But
you got it.
I feel that it's important when in any fight that you remind yourself why you're fighting and how you're fighting, and that your long game is very important to that. So you gotta give to take.
I love that. Okay, cool. All right, and we have Joel over here.
Yeah.
Joel, what's your story?
My name is Joel Fears. I'm a Scorpio. I like long walks, fluffy white pillows.
Oh my, fluffy white pillows. That's a good one.
One thing that you don't realize as an adult is that you have the permission to buy a new pillow whenever the hell you want.
That's right. You do feel like you have to keep it forever.
Like,
We're all buying pillows.
One of the things that I try to do is to always buy at least one new pair of underwear a month.
Really? Okay.
And now my wife and I share a membership of a company. I won't mention the company. But we get super comfortable underwear and they match.
It's me and
It is me.
Oh,
So
okay.
every day there's a one, and it gets more and more difficult. There's always a chance that my wife and I are wearing the same exact underwear.
Wait, what's it
Pattern.
called? Can we plug it? Just
Me undies.
Me
So
undies. Okay.
every month we get new underwear and we giggle, and then we wear it, and then I get to check out what she's got under the robe, and we go, oh, you're wearing a my undies today. Me too. Yesterday we had a long drive, Jonny and I, about 4 hours away. I was wearing the otters that were embracing hands because otters sleep with their hands embraced. Yeah.
Really? Oh.
So this is how my life usually works. I introduce myself and we talk about underwear.
I love that. Okay, but pillows, you just feel compassionate.
With pillows, it's like you need to allow yourself. You spend more time in bed than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Fluffy white pillows are important to me
Love that.
because I squinch them up and then I suck all the life out of them and then I buy a new pillow.
I love that.
So that's-
Okay. All right.
It's
I
a
can
simple
check that
mantra.
out. Yeah.
Enjoy new underwear, buy new socks. Go ahead and buy a new pillow. You deserve
That's
it.
so great. Everyone can take that from this.
Yes, exactly. That was your one takeaway.
Okay, cool.
Incredibly beautiful wife, 3 energetic and healthy children. I run a compounding pharmacy with my family in the suburb of Aurora,
Okay.
which is basically we make things out of other things. Capsules, creams, suppositories, injections, fun stuff.
Okay.
So that was like my day job. I ran for office in Yorkville, Illinois in 2012, and then ended up getting elected by 7 votes. I'd be the 3-term incumbent, and my only goal was to get the roads in my neighborhood done.
Okay,
I've
so
been living
that's
there
why
for
you
like
ran.
7
You wanted
years.
the roads done.
There was no movement. I'm like, fine, I'll do it myself.
Wow. Okay.
Well, of course, it wasn't that easy, but got elected, met everyone, kind of understood how things were working. As far as government being just like any other business, it's how you treat people. It's making sure that your expectations are kind of laid out there, and then it's understanding what to do when things don't go the way that you want.
Yeah.
So when I got elected, a lot of people kind of assumed I would come in and just flip tables. And while maybe after a couple of beverages, I think that's going to be who I'm going to be tomorrow, that's not who I am.
Okay.
I genuinely enjoy people, but I also like people to get what they're paying for. So it took 6 years, and I had to run again, but I got my roads done.
Got it.
But just before the summer before my roads.
And you had to run again for which position? Is it
Alderman.
Alderman? Okay.
So yes, there's the mayor, then there's 8 aldermen. And then the city's split into 4 wards. Each ward has 2 aldermen every other year. Every 2 years, one of them is up for re-election.
Okay, got it.
But right after my second term, after I got reelected, One of my good friends, Mike Malinowski, committed suicide at 40 years old on the 28th or 29th of July in 2017. And like I said, beautiful wife, 3 amazingly energetic kids, and I got all these jobs and connections, and I'm living life out loud, and I was devastated. So I grew up Catholic, and now I'm a recovering Catholic, meaning that everything that I do is, okay, what's right for humanity, but also I should give myself a little credit. So I was having a difficult time kind of dealing with it. I would show up to meetings and work just completely glazed over. And my mayor at the time, Gary Galinsky, calls me one evening. I remember sitting on the couch, not really doing much. So, what are you doing? Nothing. How's it going? I'm like, I don't know. And I just kind of lost all push. And he's like, I know that you're dealing with something, but what are you going to do about it? You got to do something. And I was like, I don't know. He's like, well, I'll wait. And he did kind of one of the first things that he went through over the day, and I'll get there, but is that just being present is probably more important than knowing what the hell to say all the time. So he knew what the tools I had at my disposal were. I'm a talker. I know a lot of people. I'm not afraid to hug somebody. He's like, well, you've got all these connections. Use your voice. And it was as simple as having permission from the guy in charge saying, talk about it. So I wrote a proclamation. I drafted it out that talked about 3 things. Number 1, suicide is an issue. We should be talking about it. Number 2, there are mental health resources available. You just need to have a little bit of a push to find the proper route to you getting some assistance. But then number 3, and most important, you are enough. And while it was kind of, feely for a government institution to adopt, the second that he said, yeah, it sounds good, I'd like to run with it, and gave permission to it, he put it on the mayor's report, so nobody else had to vote on it. The city council just needed to support it. Well, they supported it. And then that year I emailed every elected official that I knew, and I got 24 other cities to join me in Illinois.
Wow, that's amazing.
3 counties, and then the state of Illinois adopted it.
They did?
October,
Okay,
yeah.
good. Cool.
October of 17. And then the following year, I asked can I do it again. So I got official permission again to conduct outreach on behalf of the United City Yorkville, on behalf of the proclamation, which I call the National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month proclamation, which the acronym is NSPAM, which is a horrible acronym.
I was going to say, and spam.
That's what I wrote down.
Okay.
So then last year during 2018, I was sending out a boatload more emails. I was trying to automate some things. Didn't totally work, but I sent out like 3,300 emails. Well, halfway through the year, I read an article about Riot Fest, which is one of the festivals that I like going to, and it mentioned Hope for the Day, and it mentioned a guy named Mike Pinopel, who works with Jonny.
Okay.
So I did what I normally do, is I just said, hey, I'm
Just reach out, yeah.
and basically said, I need to meet you. I need to find some allies in this fight, because while I am sending out emails and I'm making an impact, I think it's just a piece of paper that the people are signing. They're starting a conversation, but I want to do more.
Yeah.
And I also want to know, where am I screwing up? Where do you think I could, improve this? And I met Mike looking for kind of like an ally, and it was like an instant friendship. He looks, tattoos, jeans, black t-shirt. Like, I don't wear collared shirts. Like, yeah, I might be an adult, but I'm not comfortable with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you usually find me near the bar in jeans and a t-shirt, because I'm just not comfortable with the whole, like, spending more on my clothes than my food type stuff.
Yeah.
So,
That's fair.
so my conversation with Mike was very frank. We dropped some F-bombs, we had some tears, but it was basically, yeah, I'll be here. We can bounce some ideas off one another. And I left that knowing that, sweet. Like, I understand what Hope for the Day does. I understand what Sip of Hope is.
Yeah.
I just needed some allies.
Yeah.
And when I met them, it was like I met pretty much everyone involved in the organization besides Jonny, because he was in Europe at the time. But over the course of like a month, 2 months, I met pretty much everyone that was working there. And they were understanding that I was doing something that kind of wasn't in their lane, but it was the same topic. And it turned into this, how do we work together further? Not just because we're fighting the same battle, but because we really like each other.
Yeah.
So it went from hey, I just need an ally, to, hey, you want to hang out, to, hey, let's hang out and change the world at the same time.
Yeah.
So 2018 ended, and I met Jonny in the middle of August last year, and we ended up with 234 cities, 20 counties, and 40 different states, all adopting the same proclamation.
Okay.
Suicide is an issue, there are resources available, you are enough. And then this year, I got permission to start right at the first year, but the impetus was a little bit different, because now I had a team. Now I had other things that I could do. So instead of just sending out emails across the country, we were actually going to city council meetings, meeting with city hall staff, talking to police officers and other communities outside of Yorkville, talking about just real shit basically. But it went from, this is what I'm doing and this is what Hope for the Day is doing. And then, like I told you before we started recording, the day before our year anniversary of meeting each other in person, I was appointed public policy director for Hope for the Day. And now we kind of have a little bit of a map on how Jonny and his team, as far as curriculum and education and outreach, can help continue what they're doing. But now we're going to make sure that we have a component that's consistently communicating with government,
That's
keeping an
awesome.
eye on what they're doing to improve what they currently do, then also just making sure that when there's a conversation about this topic, not only are we at the table, but we have a name plaque that says this is what we do and that's how we
That's
do it.
amazing. That's a really important position to add
It
to
is.
you guys. That's like really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you questions, but first you have tattoos too.
Sure, definitely.
My family is I don't have one. I'm the only one of my siblings that doesn't. So we're very big on tattoos. So I'm sorry if this is an overstep.
Okay.
I always ask people about
Where's
their
your, why
tattoos.
don't you like tattoos?
Well, I was in the chair one time, and my sister and brother each got we're all T's, Tori Tara Tira, so there's 3 T's. My brother has sleeves, like he's got a lot. My sister has like a few. And so they got all the T's, and I was supposed to too, and I just like, I hadn't picked the right fonts, I hadn't committed, so they were flipping through a book, and I'm like, whoa, I need to like really think this out, and I freaked out and jumped out of the chair. And my mom is like the sweetest little tiny Christian woman ever, and she was like very upset that I jumped out of the chair.
Wow. Your mom sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I know.
like
So
your mom.
anyways, I might get back in the chair, but what's your favorite tattoo that you got?
Well, what's funny is that before I even got involved in any of this stuff, I actually had a semicolon.
Oh, okay.
Before I had my honeycomb on there.
Interesting. What's that symbolize to you?
So instead of a period, it's basically just another breath.
Okay,
So,
cool. I like that.
when I was in college at Western Illinois University, one of my roommates completed in house on Mother's Day 2003.
Okay.
And that was the time when I had just gotten engaged. I was buying a house, so I didn't really deal with it at the time.
Okay.
Kind of put it away. And then throughout the years, he would kind of revisit me. You know, May 10th every year is a little bit stressful for me. But it's kind of incredible how it's gone from something you don't talk about to something that I've been screaming for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
But I had that on there before I even started talking.
Interesting.
But
That's cool.
I think, so I have 5 on my leg. They're
Okay.
all individual pieces of bacon.
Oh my gosh,
And I wanted cartoon bacon so that if I'm a block away, you can go, that guy's got bacon on it. So I wanted it super simple, but it's almost like those 8-bit photos. Like, you don't want to have it where you can know what it is up close. I want you to see
From
that
across
it's
the
Mike
street.
Tyson's face from a mile away.
That's
But I
awesome.
think my favorite is my broccoli. So this
That's
is
your
a
homemade
6.66-inch broccoli.
Wow.
My friend Shannon is an artist for Simpsons and Futurama.
Okay.
And she posted a picture of a dagger with the ribbon that said Mom. I'm like, your tattoos are the best. If that was a stalk of broccoli, I would get a tattoo on me today.
Is that your favorite vegetable, or you just like the idea of
Well, there's like a health component to why there's a broccoli tattoo.
Okay.
They found a pituitary adenoma in my brain near my optic nerve. I had a migraine in like 2009, and the doctor said, "Yeah, just get surgery."
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Only one doctor that I talked to said, "Go to your pantry, throw everything away," and they shot from the outside of the grocery store.
Oh,
So I started eating a boatload of broccoli, which probably wasn't good for the methane problem in the country,
Okay,
low,
okay.
but I did manage to shrink my tumor by like 91%.
Oh my gosh.
And then I got to return to the neurosurgeon and use both middle fingers to tell him about him. So this is like my
Oh my gosh,
conversation to
okay.
talk about you
That's
can be in charge
perfect.
of your
I
health.
like
What's
that.
the name on the banner though?
Bro.
Rubber. Oh, rubber broccoli. So you've never asked about that?
No. I mean,
Wow.
you know, because I'm also, I have tattoos, like I have
Yeah.
portraits.
Is it annoying to people to ask about it? I don't know if it's like a touchy
No,
subject.
it's not a- it's
I
not
just
a-
ask questions that are like
Yeah.
maybe inappropriate.
I've had just people just like walk up and grab my arm down.
Oh,
and
see,
be like,
that's
what is that? And I'm
that's
like,
weird. That's like touching a pregnant lady. Can't do it. It's
Yeah.
like, don't touch anyone.
you
Yeah.
don't feel me to kick you?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's good. But
I like
rubber
that.
now, you know.
Yeah, I love broccoli.
I like broccolini a lot more than broccoli sometimes.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
it's tangy.
Yeah, I get that. I'm more of a cauliflower, but I feel like I can't say that. So
See, the problem with cauliflower is the before and the after. While you're eating, it's delicious.
yeah,
But
that's
damn,
true.
if they don't smell like ass sweaty ass at the end.
All right, the middle part.
That's the limitation of cauliflower.
You're really
Oh my
eating a lot of
gosh.
cauliflower rice.
That's so funny. Okay, so just kind of transitioning a little bit. Okay, so now you guys are working together, and neither one of you you've had friends that have committed suicide, but neither one of you have tried to commit suicide or had that, right? So, when you're talking to people, what's kind of your main like message that you're trying to convey? Like it's okay
Not to be okay.
not to be okay.
Well, I think the first thing is that when you use a word, and this is something that I learned after I met him
Yeah.
today, when you use language like committed, you're basically describing whatever action is going to follow it as if it's a crime. friend Mike, in the throes of his depression in the last hours of his day, didn't commit a crime against myself. He completed an act that he had the inclination to attempt.
Okay.
He was successful in his completion.
Got it.
So that's the first step in breaking stigma, is not calling you out,
Yeah.
but saying what you just said is exactly the education that I needed when I first started talking
Yeah.
about this. Is that completed is a descriptor, whereas committed is a sentence.
Okay.
So changing the language around things and being more comfortable with saying, hey, I can say, like, one of the things that I do is I'll repeat the word completed as opposed to like skirting around the word committed.
So you mean like in saying committed suicide, you're
I said
saying completed suicide?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
not a
got
crime.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I
So
like
that's a huge one, but we talk a lot about stigma.
that. Okay.
And when you have two guys with tattoos and like my beard's pretty on point today, but when you have two people, back off. See,
That's great.
it is great. I'll give you your point stash is killing me. But when you have two people
Yeah.
who look like regular people, but
Yeah.
also have maybe a little bit of a hard edge to them, or at least the outwardly
Appearance to
appearance
some
of
people,
being
yeah.
relatively
Yeah.
hard. When you say, man, I'm just not feeling good today, and then you have a shirt that says it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
When you lower the bar to meet people where they are, and that goes for yourself too, you end up opening the conversation to random people.
Got it.
So it's like in my experience, since we started the End Spam for the Hope for the Day kind of parallel, and now that End Spam is essentially Hope for the Day's project, I know that by having conversations that are uncomfortable, and like I tear up during city council all the time because it's still difficult. But when you have a conversation with someone and you're the one that had the strength to break that silence, you'll be surprised at how many people, if not in public, in private, will come tell you how important it was to see somebody else lead. And that's one of the reasons why Jonny Boucher is important for the entire conversation everywhere. It's because Johnny's testicles wouldn't even fit in this room if he wasn't wearing pants, because that's how strong he is.
Yeah.
Well, when someone else is strong, you become stronger. I wouldn't be sitting here if I hadn't been there.
Got it.
So I mean,
Got it.
there's a slight chance, but it's probably more because I put my faith in someone who inspired me, and that's why I'm able to talk about it. And that's why more and more men are becoming able to talk just about the stuff that bugs them.
Totally. Feelings in general.
Yeah, you gotta
that's
off
awesome.
gas. When you use furniture, like, get it out.
Cool. And for you, like, what would you say, like, when you first start talking to people about this? Like, how do you, like, go into that convo? Like, because some people, I feel like they would want to talk about it, but they don't even know how to, like, begin. Like, so maybe you could talk about, like, how do you go into, like, even the very beginning of what you guys are trying to do?
No, for sure. So my background is in marketing and advertising.
Okay.
So for me, we as an organization, the name Hope for the Day identifies just the everyday process that life is, and that, some days are hard, some days are bad, but it's what gets you through the day. It's really important to understand, because that's what we call self-care too. But for me, I don't think people get in a room or very close to me without being like, all right, what's this slogan? What's your shirt?
Got it.
What do your tattoos say?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I think I'm kind of a vibrant guy, and at least I've been told.
I would say you're vibrant. Yeah.
But at the same time, when we do outreach anywhere around the world, when we use "It's Okay Not to Be Okay," it invites people to the conversation, just like I try to invite people to have a conversation with me or our staff or one of our agents of impact, anyone that they can, because the simplicity of conversation, and it's an easier way to go with, hey, I'm not okay, versus I think I'm depressed, but I Googled this shit and I think I'm bipolar too.
Yeah.
But
And
there's a
all
part of me
these
that
other
totally thinks I'm OCD too.
Totally.
And I say to people, don't go Google your life, because you're gonna go down a rabbit hole. And I
Yeah.
watched my sister literally Google, I think I'm having a panic attack, and have a panic attack.
Because she was Googling.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell are you doing?
Exactly.
We were in Luna Ladies Pizza, and I was like, all right, go to the ambulance. I'm staying here. Like, you do this to yourself. You're gonna be fine. Shut up. Just go. But it's one of those things that anything that I do in my everyday life, I think, invites people to the conversation. And I just let people know that they can have that conversation. And it's interesting. My girlfriend and I were talking about this the other day. Any party or public function we go to, and people are like, "Oh my God, you're the guy," and I'm like, "Oh yeah." It's like I sometimes become these people's therapist,
Okay.
and that's amazing. But I also have, worked with our team on building, our capacity, our sandbox. So sorry that you've been impacted. we built pathways to talk about those things because as much as I do want to hear your entire story, I want to know how we can help.
Right.
And the tools that we are able to inject into communities, companies, it's flawless. It's a linear approach to it. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. You can take this information and digest it and go, oh, this is how we talk about it in our community.
Got it.
But it's just like starting that conversation easily.
Okay.
Usually it's around like some sort of like hope for the day piece of not merchandise, but like products. We have our own coffee that is sold in Whole Foods.
Okay.
We've released countless beers with different local breweries. We released the world's first beer that had mental health resources on it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Same with coffee.
Okay.
And there's plenty of other things that we're doing. We're working with hummus. We're working with natural organic food companies. We're working with brands, and we call them partners in prevention. And it's because when people do talk about it, they go, "All right, what can I do to help?"
Yeah.
And that's my favorite part of the job is inviting everyone to the table, especially in a country where we talk about building walls. Like we need to build more tables and invite everyone to it.
Yeah.
And that's what just go back to what Joel was saying. Our job is to be part of the mental health community. Not be the only organization that's going to save.
Totally. Save everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's not real.
Yeah.
And we need people, despite how this cell phone only allows you to interact with yourself and so many people. Like we need to reconnect.
Got it.
And that's through conversation.
So like all of those things you just mentioned, that really came from the idea of helping and what resources can you provide for the cause. So that's how you you started with the coffee? And then you just kind of
I started actually in music. I literally left the music industry and like 2 weeks later appeared back and was like, all right, so this is what we're doing now in music. And it was because I knew that I had easy access points in the music industry. I knew I produced tours and concerts and festivals, so I understood where all the costs were. So for me, I would approach and be like, hey, can I put a team out on this tour with you? Here's where we can help financially. Here's where we can. Can you help us with book spots and catering and stuff like that?
Okay.
And then I said, look where the end game is. Every night we're going to be able to speak to your audience. We're going to be able to evangelize people to talk about it in their own communities. We're able to put resources in those communities. And we're also building a safe place in the concert where they can go talk, because some chubby guy named Jonny said, come back and talk to us because we're stronger together.
That's cool. Okay, so it started in the concert scene and then it just kind of branched out one by one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
And I used to spend a lot of my time traveling. I spent 5.5 years straight traveling between countries and speaking to youth and so many different communities talking about the same subject. And in some countries we were able to say, great, did you know that there's counseling services available by law, and this is how many of them if you're over this age, to holy shit. In places like Kenya, there's not a counseling center.
Yeah.
In Rwanda, there's not a counseling center, but it's one of the most traumatized communities in the world.
It's crazy.
But now they're told they have to work together. And that's where I remember this lady going, so you should just focus on like the neighborhood. And I was like, no. Focusing on the world here.
Totally. You can't, if you're going to make an impact, you can't just, you've got to start somewhere. But that's amazing.
Yeah, but I also just try to invite everyone. So when we're in like public conversation, I'm always just like, hey, so what do you do? Oh, hey, does your company, like I know somebody in your company, do you guys have an EAP program? Because I'm just going to start guiding myself in there, because at the end of the day, I can go sit and drink with whoever I want, really, but I'd rather do it with people who want to change the world together.
Totally. That's awesome.
If not, great conversation. I'll go on to the next one.
Yeah, so cool. You know what? It's really cool though, especially considering we work in the design industry.
Yeah.
And so you've got Haywork and Kayhan and all these design partners. I think what's really cool is how you use design to impact people, because like the products, obviously you said you have marketing, advertising background, so you already think like that. But just like right when you walked in, I asked you about your shirt. Like the little nuance of that, the power that design has to communicate messages is huge. And the fact that you're using that power for good is like really cool and inspiring.
Well, it's one of the things that charities don't do a really good job of.
Right.
They go, we're going to try and solve this issue, and we don't have any money, which we've always operated under $1 million every year. Which everyone's like, how? I'm like, we'll figure it out. You know?
Right.
But at the same time, we invite people and instead of try to make us like bigger than they are. You know, we invite people. We're always on the same ground. You know, like when we released our this beer most recently with Old Living Brewing, Hops for Hope, we got a lot of shit for it.
Really? Wait, why?
Well, because everyone's like, well, alcohol's a depressant, and you can't do that. When you send that email to me, I have a copy and paste. My uncle drank himself to that.
Got it.
Is it my uncle's fault, or is it Dalmore's fault that they made good scotch and I don't drink it every day?
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Where I go, I hear you, because I know people here, lose people to alcohol abuse all the time.
Yeah.
But there's also the other side of the coin. Why don't I go work with Dalmore to go find other people that are just like my uncle who are, living by the bottle every single day.
Yeah.
And educate them.
Got it.
So it's like when you look at like a YouTube video, it's like, so many people give a thumbs up, and then they're like, wow, who are these people? Which your opinion matters.
Yeah.
But then we saw it in a Kansas City beer forum that it was, is this the appropriate way? And the person that talked about it was like, I don't think so. And it was like hundreds of comments being like, no, this is how you do it. Because we didn't just do a beer can, we released a resource coaster. We put it in bars, we put it in restaurants.
Okay.
And we created responsibility, but at the same time, we did it in a way that was proactive. It wasn't because, you just lost a staff member.
Yeah.
And sadly that happens. It happens. You can't
Right.
save them all. And that's just the reality of it. But at the same time, by just constantly thinking differently,
Yeah.
all we're doing is what Steve Jobs asked us to do.
Yeah.
It's just think differently.
Totally.
I'm just trying to take care of my health a little bit better.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
cool.
and it's like I literally was just having this conversation because we are working with video games, we are working in comics, we're about. I made the joke the other day, I was like, no, we're gonna set up at the Sex Expo, and they're like, really? And I was like, yeah, let's do a Pornhub fake shirt that says Have Hope, and it's okay not to be in the Pornhub logo. Please send me a cease and desist letter. And people laugh, right?
Yeah.
But what makes those people any different than
That's true.
you're not?
Everyone needs.
Seriously,
Yeah,
everyone
message.
matters.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
just
cool.
Black Lives Matter, all lives matter,
Yeah.
all minds matter too.
But I also think what you're tapping into is reaching people where they are.
Yeah.
And not just expect. I think a lot of government agencies and organizations, to your point, they expect people to come to them, and it's you reach people where they are by being
That's what I was learning through my outreach at the first
Yeah.
year or the second year, when I hit 234 cities that agreed to this.
Yeah.
Was that I was getting responses back, because I wasn't just hitting up mayors and clerks, I'm hitting up the secretary, because some
Yeah.
cities don't have a website.
Yeah.
So you guess info at whatever village.org, whatever,
Yeah.
and they're responding with, actually, yeah, we had an alderman commit suicide last year. And then I found out that I went to Western Illinois, our fire chief in 2016 completed suicide on duty.
Got it.
And then in Chicago, we had 11 last year?
Yeah,
New York already has 9 this year.
Yeah.
And it's these are all opportunities,
Yeah.
not only to discuss the gross side of the impact of suicide, which is I had to sit in a room at one point with a bunch of suits and ties, explain to them while they don't feel that feelings are important in doing business, I could legitimize how much it would cost if one of their employees took their own life.
Yeah, from a
It's
dollar
not
and
from
cents.
a dollar and cent standpoint,
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
understanding that 121 people,
Average.
121 people die every day at their own hand.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every
Just
single
in
one of
America.
those
in
impacts.
America.
Yeah. Every single one of those impacts 100 people minimum.
Minimum, yeah.
But all it takes is one person to actually stop that entire landslide
Wow.
by talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as saying today sucks, and
Yeah.
having somebody say, "Why does it suck?"
Yeah.
And you get 5 minutes of just venting about something. You say, "Oh, thank you, thanks for coming to my TED Talk," and then they
Yeah.
move on. But that unloading of that weight but that's one of the reasons why I call that dude at 6 in the morning. What are you
Yeah.
doing? Well, what's up? Just want to yell. So I'll yell for 5 minutes. Then it's over. It's out of my body. I'll be a better dad. I'll be a better husband. I'll be a better human. And all we're really doing is kind of poking humanity in the side for a few hours, reminding us that you're going to go through your own stuff.
Yeah.
But if you go through your own stuff and you are living out loud and living by example, that some days just suck,
Yeah.
the likelihood of someone kind of paralleling with that and wanting to be involved with what you're talking about.
That makes sense.
And it's as simple as somebody grabbing one of these Have Hope, It's Okay Not to Be Okay bracelets, which, I'll have Jonny talk about it, but we're moving into talking to police departments on the whole. In the middle of next month, September, we've got Hope for the Day coming up, doing education in Yorkville. Every
Okay.
police officer in
Cool.
Yorkville will be in front of a Hope for the Day educator.
That's
That's
cool.
weeks with the entire police department talking about the same thing.
I love that.
So it's by
It's 14,000 people.
14,000 people, yeah.
Okay,
just
okay.
just-
Wow,
just-
just the police.
So the impact doesn't have to be the number of constituents. The impact can be, and you should be happy with this,
Yeah.
the one-on-one conversation.
Totally.
And that's kind of where the end spam, as horrible as that acronym is, started with the idea of how come these people aren't talking about it. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
not just elected officials, it's people that work in the water department, the sewer department, and admin supplies and stuff like that. Those are people that are just as able to have a crap day as anybody else.
Totally.
And it's the conversation at the table is huge. So let's just sit down for a second and talk.
Love that. Okay, so we've got all the products, all that kind of stuff, the experiences you guys are creating, the education you're doing. Like, what, from the government standpoint, are there other like government goals you guys are trying to do besides just awareness, or is there anything like beyond
Yeah,
that?
actually, to be honest, I hate that word, awareness.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got to
Okay,
put it in the
so
proclamation. It's now
committed
National Suicide Prevention Action.
and awareness are gone. Okay.
Committed is like industry. Awareness for me is just like,
Annoying.
it's like going green, you know?
Oh no.
Shop local.
all right.
I'm spreading the awareness. It's like, yo, if you don't realize that like, suicide and mental health is an issue, then
Yeah.
you're not paying attention.
Right.
You know?
What's a better word than awareness? Thanks for
Um,
calling me on that, Johnny. what's a
You know,
better-
I'm woke in mental health.
You're so
awareness.
woke. Also one of my favorite.
No, it's not about it's actually about taking action.
Action,
And
okay.
trying to be action oriented.
I like that.
And it's like you can walk into a room at a conference and be like, that sounds like a great idea.
Right.
I want to know who the hell is implementing that idea.
Yeah.
And then who the hell is bringing the report to our community, because if it works, bring it, you
Yeah.
know? Where a lot of other people are you know, whether it's in government or just in nonprofit, like funding is always an issue. The
Okay.
moment there's any money out there, everyone's like, hey,
Well,
what's
yeah.
up, friend? Bah, 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 and they stab you on the
Totally,
side and everything.
totally.
And it's like, I love you know,
Yeah.
bullshit. And recently I spoke at the National Council for Behavioral Health's, I was a keynote speaker for it, and it was funny because like I was in a room with people who I'm like, wow, they're listening to me talk, like, this is
Yeah.
wild. And I was like, if you have one opportunity to say one thing to them, it's not look at my Obama tweet.
Yeah.
But I said, I showed the Obama tweet, and I said, hey, take my name out of there and put your name in there, and know that if you're in this room that you're fighting for mental health, and that tweet was just as important with you
Yeah.
as it is for me, as it is for this community, so let's do something with it, right?
Totally.
But before I went to the last slide, I said, but I refuse to stand in a room with my community members and know that when things like funding come available, we all of a sudden start turning our backs on one another, and we start realizing that it's our agenda versus your agenda.
Right.
We have a copyright on one of the most utilized slogans in mental health. I said, but I'm also going to say that I refuse to be a part of the mental health community if we really do not work together.
Yeah.
I said, because I'll tell you what, I think I'm the only one that has this phrase on the back of my t-shirt, and it said, we are in this together, and I turned around and it said, we are in this together. I know it. I was the only person in that room that had that at that time,
Yeah.
but some people were like, oh, that was so real. Like, oh, God, it's great to hear, because we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
And we still talk about it, but instead of being like, hey, you guys should work with these guys to make a stronger unit, I just put them in the room and you know,
Yeah.
oh, you didn't know each other?
Totally.
You should.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we're not a direct service.
Yeah.
I want to make direct services stronger. Part of what the work we're doing with Joel is understanding where a lot of the issues in you know, our systematic approaches, our nationwide approaches from a mental health community perspective that the government plays a role into.
Yeah.
So for example, we advocate, which is a good word,
Okay.
but
Okay.
advocacy's not.
Yeah.
Like,
All
what-
right.
I'm not
I'm
here-
very particular on
Oh,
words.
oh yes. Hey,
It's a good thing.
I'm a brand book,
It's,
you know?
I know. I was gonna say.
I told my therapist when I got diagnosed with PTSD, she said, aren't you the guy that says it's okay not to be okay? I was like, don't use my words against me. But it's true, you know, you need to understand it. But it's also just like, it's interesting, people just like, once they hear the right way to do things, and like they're like, oh wait, this does make sense, you know? And for us, we were like, well, hey, if we advocate on some of these services, we should really vet these services. And as of lately, we've found out that there's a huge gap in answering the actual phone when people call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline.
Really?
The same number that Logic wrote a song about, you know,
Wow.
won the Grammys and everything. And
Yeah.
That's great, but when you call 800-273-TALK, it goes into a nationwide hub, which is in New York, and they answer and they say, where are you? And they try to position you with a call center that is closer to you because you can provide much more accurate local help.
Okay, interesting.
The state of Illinois sucks.
Well,
Sucks.
I mean, that's like a fact. But
Yeah, no. If I told you that 74% of calls to 911 were being answered, you said, well, why isn't it 26%, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, actually, what if I lied to you and said it's actually 33%? You would be appalled. And I said this to an officer the other day, and she's like, I would tell you you're full of shit. And I was like, you're getting angry, right? She's like, yeah. I'm like, now you're going to get even more angry. What if I tell you 33% is actually Illinois' answer rate on the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline?
Wow.
And she was just, no fucking way. And I was like, now you're pissed.
Yeah.
She's like, what am I going to do about it? I go, I don't know.
So
because
only 33% of those calls.
Wisconsin's 32.
Yeah. But our friends in Iowa are like crushing the 70.
Totally. I went to Iowa State. Go Iowa!
Yeah, but it's
Iowa State.
There'll be collegial competition.
My brother was a Hawkeye. He went to the community
that's
school.
right.
I know, he went to the community school, but he was a great bartender. So. Yeah.
See, it's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine. So they're crushing it.
It's finding out that there's a disparity, because one of the reasons why I was crushed about that is that we just got done with that beer, and the top number on the beer is 1-800-273-TALK.
Yeah, and you're like,
And I
we're
was like,
sending
we
people
just
there.
need to screw up and put our name or put their name on something, assuming that they're doing what they're saying.
Right.
So from our perspective, as far as my words as a policy director, it's understanding what roles governments can take in with the money that they're giving organizations. How the hell are they checking up?
Right.
So we know that there's software out there that allows us to determine who's answering the phone, how much their inbound calls are, how many contacts they've made, and then the success rate of those calls.
Yeah.
Well, if we're getting 33% answer rate and the other 67% we don't know because they're being bounced back out of the area, I know that specifically if I am in a moment of crisis and you need to know where I am, if you know where the 7-Eleven on Douglas is, in my particular location, you're much more of a benefit because you can contact local resources and get the police there immediately and find them help. But it's not just the answer rate of the Illinois Lifeline and finding out how to improve oversight in our state by itself. It's finding out what resources police officers need to have a part of their training package, recurring training package. Because these counselors in early crisis intervention team, you're basically making a police officer a counselor. That's kind of what they are, unfortunately, today. But it's making sure that not only do departments have access to that training consistently, but it's making sure that it's in your face, vivid, and to the point. They don't need a 3-day seminar. They need 4 hours with us. And by being able to condense this stuff into a digestible format and giving people small reminders that it's okay to have a shitty day, you make, number one, you make police officers realize that their mental health is just as important as their constituents, right? If you make people take care of themselves first, maybe we wouldn't be where we are, but more importantly, maybe we would have a better idea of how to actually save the world instead of just talking about saving this particular street or this particular clock tower or whatever. I mean, you can take your, he uses the word evangelism in a way that that speaks to me because like I said, I grew up as a Catholic and I'm removing myself from it slowly. That is a mental health process that you have to get through. Well, if he can take a word like evangelize just to get people off their ass and look in the mirror, it's one of the reasons why I do have a favorite text. These are some words that from a song from a band called Gang of Youths, basically telling me to keep going. It's written backwards, so I see it every morning when I get out of bed.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's like you have the ability to inspire yourself.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of surrounding myself with people that make me better at what I am, and that's one of the reasons why I'm friends with that.
That's so
And his
awesome.
mustache.
That's cool. That's awesome. Together. One and the same.
Well,
That's
it's
cool.
because of this. It's like when I was starting out for the day, people were like, all right, so you're going to this big approach. Are you going to have your own hotline number? And I was like, well, why would I do that? You know, like, why would I create another,
and confuse people
yeah,
somewhere else.
absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's like, how do you understand, how to build better bridges, but at the same time looking at the current bridges that we, that are structured and redesign them. And redesign how we talk about going into the conversation about mental health. And change it from, your late night advertisements saying, if you're depressed, call this number. Because that usually ends with, have your insurance card ready.
Totally.
Where, know that we can take not only good design, but good branding and real solutions to the forefront by making it easy to talk about, fun to talk about, and really just telling people that if you fell down in the dirt and you got up, you should tell that story. You shouldn't be feeling that you should be at all like scared or you think people are going to judge you. It's not cool to say you lost 16 people to suicide. It's not cool to say that you've experienced bad days, but the more that I do, people are like, yo, check this. That's a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
I've lost 3, and I thought that was a lot. I said, well, one's enough.
Yeah.
But for me, when I was, growing up in the punk rock world of, Chicago and learning, meeting new people from all different parts of the country that are in bands, and that you expose yourself to, sadly, more tragedy.
Totally.
But one thing that punk rock taught me to do was talk about it. So,
Totally. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. So you're speaking at Hayworth, and this is September 5th.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what would you like to see come out of that talk? I'm scared to say awareness. So I won't say.
It's
but like
not
just
that.
kind of getting the conversation going and like
Well,
sharing.
I think it's also it's important to understand that everyone that's going to be there has an opportunity to take that conversation outside.
Got it.
Take action.
Yeah.
And talk about the hardships of the everyday America, how the average loses 120 people plus, and that a portion of those, yes, are veterans, but a portion of those are youth, elderly, LGBTQ. Like there are people who are coming from backgrounds that you think would have it all that are struggling. There are people that don't have shit that are struggling.
Yeah.
And that you can make a difference. And look, it's not just about holding the door for the sweet old lady anymore. It's about talking about these things because we experience life completely different now than once we did when our parents were growing up.
Yeah.
And our parents need to learn that they can talk about the things they were told not to talk about. But we need to invest in how we enhance the conversation for ourselves in the 20s and 30 years, because we still have stake in the game here.
Totally.
Because we're also going to have kids.
Yeah.
Or dogs.
Yeah. Or both.
Yeah, or both. Hopefully both. But we have a responsibility.
Yeah.
And on September 5th, we're not only bringing people together, we're talking about something during Suicide Prevention Month, which is really important. But we are inviting every single person to be a part of the conversation how they want to. But it's also about talking about who are the leaders in this industry. It doesn't matter, on a P&L. It's who from the design world is talking about the stressors. They're talking about insurance complications, because I can only imagine if you're a small design firm, the last thing that you're trying to do is figure out how to pay for things that you don't have the money to do. And healthcare is the first thing that goes, and also being in the 20s and 30s, we all are like, I'm 25, I got one more year of my parents' insurance, and then you're like, oh, cool. What's this, market healthcare place, which I've had a horrible experience with, where I'm like, who needs insurance, really?
Oh my gosh,
Because it's such a tragedy of what we're going through right now. But, even if you have insurance or you don't have insurance, that's not going to stop you from having a bad day.
Yeah.
So if you're working in a co-working space, or you're working in a space that has maybe 10 people in it, if you have the ability to let people know, hey, like I've experienced this, that's going to make your work life so much more productive.
Yeah.
So you walking in every day and be like, don't feel kind of crazy.
Totally.
And
trying to fake it until you burst.
Until you do, because you're a soda bottle.
Yeah.
Whether you're a Coca-Cola drinker, a Pepsi drinker, if you're on the LaCroix keto, like whatever, we're all this little soda bottle that keeps shaking up every single day. And take the cap off, how we do, right?
Yeah.
But if we don't take the cap off, pressure builds up and we pop, right? And that's where we usually see people at a point of crisis where they might take their life.
Yeah.
But when it's talking about 60 to 70, 80-hour work
I was going to say the amount of hours.
what's your balance? Hitting the pub, crushing, getting some shitty food, and then going to bed and doing it all over again? Probably.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But on the weekends, take those moments for yourself. Build that time into your morning routine. So that's what we really want to do. We want to nurture the design community.
I love that.
And invite them to, help us keep talking about it.
That's so good. And we we wanted to do this podcast, Lauren Freeling from Hayward brought it to us, and Kayhan did. I think it's because our whole gig is doing dinners where we get people to talk about what's going on in their life. And with the 20s to 30s, it's funny, we very rarely talk very hardcore about design. It's almost all about, I'm stressed out, I have anxiety, how do I balance working 60 to 80 hours?
It's also important.
But like, how do I balance my family life too? Like, it's like that, how do you do it all?
If you don't pay attention to it while you're learning, you're going to come to a point where something's going to fall.
Totally.
It's like Johnny gives me crap all the time because I have a lot of projects, whether it's business related or hope for the day related or it's family related. I feel myself a lot of things because I like to bring joy, right? It's one of my things. But what ends up happening is that I bury myself in the happiness of others, and then I have to have 45 minutes of yelling at Johnny on the phone. But
that's so nice.
I'm usually making a pour over where I'm like namaste, namaste. And I'm like trying to listen to the drip off the coffee filter.
But if we don't prepare our kids, and like this morning, it was a hectic morning, and I'm like, guys, I'm not angry, but I need you to pitch in, or I don't have to tell you to pitch in. Because they understand that if dad's in a better mood, donuts are a given. You know what I'm saying? But it's also setting that stage so that you ingrain in your kids, you're going to have moments where you're just as frazzled as I am right now. That's okay. But remember, you can't take words back. You can't redo something. All you can do is plan for it. So that if that means that last night while I was exhausted, I spent 20 minutes and I put my lunch together because it makes the rest of my morning easier. Those are the types of self-care tips. If somebody would have told me this shit in high school, maybe I wouldn't be so freaking lost for 45 minutes every morning.
Or you wouldn't feel like you're crazy or whatever. So like it's
or
nice to know
you
that.
wake up and you just feel like, all right, here I go. And then before you know it, you're at the pub, sucking on your 12th drink, and you're like, get me home,
And then you do it again,
It's not something to brag about. Like how many hours you work a week?
Exactly.
I've gotten that hint from a few of my friends that I'm going to be buried until next Thursday. It's like, cool, but can I have 10 minutes here? Maybe on my way from here to there. And I realized that what I expect out of other people, I don't expect out of myself, which is shit.
Totally.
So that's why, like, as an elected official and a father, or more importantly, I'm a husband, then a father, then an elected official, then a member of all these different organizations, the important gangs that I'm representing right now are my family and Hope for the Day. Because through that, I'm able to carry the flag of the United City of Yorkville, because Yorkville's taking a chance too. They're letting a guy who has a really, really bad potty mouth and freaking bacon tattoos on his leg talk about something that could negatively impact them completely. But I'm coming from a place of I'm miserable when I think about this topic. But I also know that when Johnny and I walk into a room with people, we have the distinct ability of kind of lightening the load a little bit. Two lumpy guys with awesome facial hair, a bunch of tattoos. We can talk for 45 minutes.
I don't know what else you could possibly want.
So it's going from individual attempts at saving the world to we've got a little gang going right now, and it's spreading it throughout the globe, and it's becoming easier to see what the next 5 years are going to look like, which is just more and more of the same. But that's one of our mottos is always say yes.
I love that.
But we say yes more when we're in the Hope for the Day model of things than when I'm talking about like business or government stuff. But we're just hoping that we do this everywhere. So your little dinners around the country, however small you might think that they are, you're having an impact on your contemporaries, like the people that you interact with, are the people that everybody in that line works with. And like, I for one think we should keep on talking about it.
I think talking's it, and just doing something. I love that you both just saw a need and you did something. I think that's always my message. Is like everybody makes everything seem more complicated than it really is. And if you just do something, that's where you start, right?
Absolutely. And you start to understand like concessions that have to be made, the sacrifices that are made, but then the ROI too. And the coolest thing about running a charity is people think I own it. No, you can't do that. But it's knowing that I created something that at one point in time did not exist.
Right.
It currently employs 24 people, and it currently saves lives every day. Like, what more could you ask for? And the nights that I'm like, we don't have enough funding, we don't have this, we don't have that. It's like those are just like the little touch points that if it was easier, I wouldn't appreciate the process and the journey as much.
Right.
And we have to do that with our own mental health care. And our well-being. So take a moment for yourself, get a pour over.
I was gonna say final words. Those are great final words. Take
Yeah.
a moment, get a pour over.
Write down your process. Write down your process and think about how you can inject a few moments for yourself. Because I do not do well when I have to wake up, drop, and roll.
Yeah, that's not me either.
No, I'm like I need like an hour and a half to myself.
Yeah.
You know, like
Go at it slowly.
yeah. Even like yesterday, we had a meeting downstate, and I had to start picking people at 4:45 in the morning. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna get up at 4. I'm gonna make a pour over. I'm gonna take a shower, make a little breakfast real quick, kind of get my head right because I have 4 hours in the car up and down.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like not every day can go as planned.
Yeah.
You know, so you need to be able to adapt and mend. And if you're at capacity already, what are you doing to ensure that you have the capacity to potentially take on more? Whether that's more work, more life, or
Yeah.
more you time.
Totally.
Because you can't just run on I work. And the word hustle, everyone forgets that part of the hustle when it comes to working out is you have to recover.
Recover. I like that. That's good. I like it. Do you have any final words?
I think I've learned more from Hope Today in the last 2 years than I had my entire experience.
That's amazing.
At least on Earth. I don't know about when I'm on other planets. But I think my big takeaway is that it's okay not to be okay. Super simple right there. Realizing the things that you already have in your life that you may occasionally be overlooking and not paying full attention to. And I think the act of disconnecting and allowing yourself to be disconnected for at least 4 or 5 hours a day, and not just including sleep, is probably more important to your longevity. And I also think that taking smaller breaks throughout the day, you can actually get a greater impact of the work that you're doing because you're going to come back fresh every time. And breaks doesn't mean going off for a couple of shotguns, and taking down the nicest, newest, highest alcohol craft beer. It's more about, like I do this a lot at the pharmacy, is that I'll walk out, just walk around my pond and have half a LaCroix, and then come back in, and like everything's fresh.
Got it.
And it's smaller breaks, bigger reward.
Yeah. Take your if you got any control of your conference calls, just do them while you can walk outside.
I love that.
Mindful moments.
Yeah.
Cool. You guys, thank you so much for coming down. I think this was like super beneficial.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm excited for your mission and where you're at, and we'll try to do it in our way and get people to keep talking and kind of join the cause. So for sure. And then September 5th, it's at Hayworth. So make sure everyone comes September 5th. So what are you guys gonna wear September 5th? Do you know?
We haven't really talked about that yet, but my girlfriend, she's like, you have a lot of black clothes, and I was like, yeah, it makes me look, and feel slim in the days when I'm not feeling so slim, right?
Yeah.
But I also I don't put too much into my attire, so it might be
It might be this.
Yeah,
Which is nice. I like it. I
I'll
like
probably
it.
wear this.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I like it.
I don't really like doing suits
No.
unless it's like at fun functions,
Totally.
like our gala in October.
Oh, nice. Where's that at usually?
It's at Salvage One this year.
Oh, cool.
It's
Very
called the
cool.
Hope Ball. It's on
Awesome.
World Mental Health Day too.
Wow.
Yeah, we
Alright, I
have
love that.
15 amazing chefs and
Can people buy tickets?
yeah, hopeball.com.
Hopeball.com. Okay, cool.
But it's a great opportunity. It's well designed.
All right.
But that's about the only time that I'll throw like a
It's not a suit.
yeah.
But you probably feel cool in a suit sometimes, right? Like James Bondy. I feel like everyone feels like cool in a suit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, let's not mess around. You know?
No, I mean I sweat profusely because I'm a bigger guy.
If I was a superhero, it'd be something to do with sweat.
Yeah, there you go.
Sweat.
Oh no, he's sweating.
I said that twice this morning already.
That's so good. Okay, now, just to plug a few of the products. So where can they buy the beer? And then Sips is the coffee
So
shop?
Sip of Hope is the coffee shop.
Okay.
You can purchase Sip of Hope coffee online at Whole Foods. We roast it with our homies at Dark Matter Coffee.
Oh, awesome.
You can't purchase the beer anymore as of right now because it's sold out. But
Wow.
keep an eye out because we're constantly dropping more and more beers.
And is it under, what name would it be under?
Well, Hops for Hope is gonna be our beer that you're always gonna be able to get, eventually. But it sells out real quick.
Got it. That's awesome.
But we do a bunch of collaborations all the time with different
Okay.
breweries.
Cool.
But then really just get involved. You can Google Hope for the Day. You can find us on all social media platforms. but also hftd.org is our website, and you can not only find great education material there, but you can find a lot of resources for a lot of